Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, I have a story that's full of love, tension, and a wedding drama you won't believe. So, grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let me take you into the world of Alara and Liam. Before I continue, my dear friends, please take a moment to hit the subscribe button, like, and share this video with your loved ones. Your support means the world to me. Thank you so much. Alara was a sweetheart. Truly. She grew up in a normal, loving, middle-class family, the kind of family where birthdays were celebrated with laughter, not extravagance. She was the type of girl who would help anyone in need, and she had a heart full of warmth. Alara became a kindergarten teacher, not for the money, not for the fame, but because she loved working with children. Every day, she poured her patience, her gentle nature, and her creativity into her students. Now, Liam, oh, Liam. He was smart, kind, successful, and had a charm that made everyone trust him instantly. He worked in the city as an investment consultant, but no matter how busy his week was, he always returned home on weekends. He loved the rhythm of small-town life, and he loved Alara more than he'd ever admit to anyone else. They met at a charity gala. Funny story, Alara wasn't even attending, she was working the event, helping set up tables and serve drinks. Liam spotted her moving gracefully among the crowd, noticed her laughter, the way she genuinely cared for everyone she spoke to. He knew instantly, this was someone he wanted in his life forever. From that moment, it was magic. A whirlwind romance bloomed. They were inseparable, and even though their worlds were very different, her middle-class simplicity versus his old-money family, they fit together like two pieces of a puzzle. But as the elders say, love is strong, but family can test its strength. When the wedding plans started, excitement was in the air, and so was tension. Liam's family had old money, generations of wealth, expectations, and rules that weren't written anywhere but were enforced fiercely. At the head of this family was the matriarch, Margaret. Margaret was elegant, poised, and always dressed in designer suits that screamed power and influence. She had a smile that was polite, perfect, but never reached her eyes. From the very first meeting, Margaret regarded Alara with subtle suspicion. Not harsh words, not outright insults, but little digs wrapped in silk. "Oh, what a bold choice of dress, dear," she'd say, or, "How quaint, your little job with the children." Every word carried the invisible weight of judgment. Liam, bless him, didn't see it, he thought his mom just needed time to warm up to Alara. But Alara could feel it in the room like a cold draft, constant, biting, relentless. The wedding was planned at a historic estate, the kind with gardens that seemed straight out of a fairy tale, fountains that glittered in the sun, and chandeliers that made your jaw drop. Invitations went out, flowers were ordered, a string quartet was hired. And through all of it, Alara tried to stay calm, reminding herself, she was marrying the love of her life. But Margaret's shadow loomed, unseen but deeply felt. Every time Alara chose a flower, a color, a napkin design, she imagined Margaret's silent critique. She would imagine that sharp glance from across the room. It was like walking a tightrope over a pit of vipers, exciting, but terrifying. The morning of the wedding arrived, bright and full of promise. Sunlight poured through the tall windows of the bridal suite, making everything sparkle. The crystal glasses, the satin ribbons, the perfectly arranged flowers. Alara woke up with that familiar flutter in her chest, not just excitement, but a heavy, almost suffocating anxiety. Her mom bustled around the room, fussing over every detail. "Honey, breathe. You look like a queen. Just beautiful, absolutely stunning," she cooed, brushing a stray lock of hair from Alara's face. The bridesmaids laughed and popped champagne corks, celebrating the big day. The energy in the room was infectious, but still, Alara couldn't shake the prickle of dread she felt. It wasn't the dress, she'd worn simple, elegant, and timeless. It wasn't the flowers, they were perfect. It was Margaret, the matriarch, the judge, the silent storm that could turn any celebration into an ordeal. Alara knew that today, every move, every word, every step would be scrutinized. Her walk down the aisle, her vows, the way she held her hands, all of it would be a test she hadn't signed up for. As she slipped into her wedding gown, she caught a glimpse of herself in the mirror. The reflection staring back at her was a mixture of excitement, nervousness, and fear. She tried to practice her poised smile, but it came out tight, nervous, almost scared. And yet, beneath it all, there was love, deep, unshakable love for Liam. That love, she reminded herself, would carry her through. Liam, on his side, was pacing in the suite down the hall. Nervous energy radiated from him in waves. He checked his watch, ran his fingers through his hair, and muttered, "She's going to look amazing. She's going to," but he didn't finish. He didn't need to. Everyone in love understands that mix of nerves and anticipation before the big moment. Finally, the moment arrived. The doors to the garden opened, and Alara stepped out, her father by her side. The string quartet played softly, the music floating over the manicured lawns and perfectly arranged roses. And there he was, Liam, standing under a magnificent arch of white flowers, his eyes locked on hers. Time seemed to slow. All fear, all anxiety, all judgment from Margaret, it vanished. For a brief, magical moment, it was just the two of them. Liam's eyes glistened with tears, and Alara's heart swelled. She felt like she was walking through a dream. Margaret sat in the front row, icy and composed, but Alara didn't care. She held her father's arm tightly, took a deep breath, and continued down the aisle. The vows were exchanged with sincerity and deep emotion. Alara spoke from her heart, promising to cherish Liam and honor their love. Liam's words reflected the same devotion. When he said, "You are my heart, Alara," it wasn't just a statement, it was a promise that would define the rest of their lives. And just like that, they were married. The kiss was perfect, full of love and relief, the culmination of years of friendship, respect, and devotion. For a moment, the world felt right. But as with all stories worth telling, the peace would not last. The reception started with laughter, clinking glasses, and the soft notes of a live jazz band. The ballroom was breathtaking. Towering chandeliers sparkled, golden accents reflected the lights, and the tables were adorned with elegant floral arrangements. Guests mingled, congratulating the newlyweds, but beneath the glamour, Alara felt that familiar prickle of anxiety. Margaret sat at the head table, poised, perfect, but her eyes, sharp as knives, never left Alara. Every laugh, every gesture, every smile Alara offered was met with a subtle raise of an eyebrow or a tiny, disapproving curl of Margaret's lips. Alara's stomach tightened. Even Liam, radiant and happy, didn't notice the silent storm brewing. Alara's mom tried to comfort her. "Don't worry about her. Today is about you and Liam." But Alara could feel it, the judgment, the cold scrutiny, the unspoken comparisons. And then, she noticed it. A server, older, moving clumsily with trays of drinks. Something about her seemed. The server kept appearing, almost intentionally crossing Alara's path. She wasn't just serving food, she seemed to linger, watching, observing. Every step she took, every glance she cast, made Alara's skin crawl. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but instinctively, Alara knew something was wrong. She tried to focus on Liam, on the music, on the celebration, but the prickle in her neck never went away. The server, glasses magnifying her eyes, moved with a strange precision, always ending up in Alara's line of sight. At first, Alara told herself she was imagining things. Big parties were chaotic, maybe it was just chance. But when the server bumped a tray, carelessly spilling water onto the floor, her gaze locked with Alara's. Not apologetic, not startled. Just, fixed, almost predatory. Alara shivered and stepped back, telling herself she was overreacting. But deep down, she knew, something was about to happen. And that's when the first sign of trouble arrived, the glass of red wine that would change everything. Alara was chatting with her college roommate, laughing about old inside jokes, when she noticed the server again. Something about her movements felt intentional, calculated. She wasn't just serving, she was watching. And then it happened. The tray of dark red wine, held precariously in the server's hands, wobbled. Time seemed to slow. Every eye in the room would soon be on Alara. The tray tipped, and a wave of wine splashed onto her pristine, ivory-white dress. Shock froze her. Her mother gasped. Her father stumbled forward. The ballroom erupted into a mix of gasps and whispers. Alara's mind went blank. The laughter, the music, the celebration, all vanished. She could feel every gaze in the room burning into her. And then she realized it, the wine wasn't just an accident. There was something deliberate. The server bent down, fumbled with a cloth, muttering apologies that sounded rehearsed, strange. Then she leaned close, whispering into Alara's ear, words dripping with venom. "Oh, clumsy me. But you can't really stain something already spoiled, can you?" Alara's brain short-circuited. Spoiled. Not the wine, her. All the subtle digs, all the judgments from Margaret over the past year, condensed into that single word. Shock morphed into fury. Every ounce of calm she had left evaporated. And without thinking, she slapped the server. Hard. The sharp sound echoed. The room went silent. Every guest froze. Alara felt a strange mixture of fear and relief. She had finally exploded, but the consequences were terrifying. The server, oddly unbothered, slowly rose and reached up, pulling off her wig and glasses. Alara's stomach dropped. The disguise revealed, it was Margaret. Her mother-in-law, the orchestrator of this humiliating stunt. The crowd gasped. Shock, disbelief, horror, all mixed in a chaotic wave. Alara's knees felt weak. Her hand still stung from the slap. She realized every subtle insult, every backhanded comment, every cold stare had led to this. Margaret had carefully built this scenario to prove Alara was unfit. And standing there, victorious in her motherly cruelty, Margaret addressed Liam. "You see, Liam, this is what I warned you about. Look at her lack of control. Look at her temper." The world seemed frozen. 200 eyes were on them, the bride in ruined dress, the mother-in-law triumphant, Liam caught in between. And then, Liam moved. He didn't speak to his mother. He didn't scold Alara. He walked past Margaret straight to his wife. Removing his jacket, he wrapped it around her, shielding her from the humiliation. He held her tight, whispered comfort into her ear, and in that one moment, he made a choice. Margaret's fury was unmatched. But Liam's decision was final. "This circus, this cruelty, is over," he said. "You need to leave. My wife and I are going to get changed. You will not be here when we return." The ballroom remained silent. Margaret was escorted out, speechless, defeated, but Alara finally felt a flicker of relief. Liam had chosen her, publicly, unambiguously, against his own mother's manipulation. Alara and Liam left the ballroom, hand in hand, their steps echoing in the grand hall. The chatter and music faded behind them as they ascended the staircase. Alara's heart was still racing. The dress, once a symbol of beauty and joy, was ruined. But Liam's steady hand, his protective jacket around her, reminded her she wasn't alone. She slipped into the simple white rehearsal dinner dress she had brought, the soft fabric calming her. Liam helped her adjust the neckline, tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear, and whispered, "Breathe. It's just us now. Nothing else matters." For the first time in months, Alara felt a flicker of safety. The humiliation lingered, yes, but Liam's unwavering support reminded her, they were a team, and nothing could break them if they stood together. 20 minutes later, they descended back into the ballroom. The guests had shifted uneasily, unsure how to react after witnessing the chaos. Then, the couple appeared, hand in hand, Alara now in her simple dress, and Liam's arm firmly around her. The crowd erupted into applause, some laughing nervously, some cheering genuinely. Friends and family rushed forward to offer congratulations and reassurance. It was a wave of acceptance that washed over Alara like warm sunlight after a storm. She looked at Liam and whispered, "You really stood by me." He just smiled, squeezing her hand. "Always. You're my wife. That's all that matters." With the tension dissipated, the band launched into an upbeat tune. Liam led Alara to the dance floor, and for the first time that evening, they could move freely, without fear. Alara laughed, genuinely, letting go of the anxiety that had gripped her all day. She realized that a wedding wasn't about perfection, appearances, or approval from others. It was about the bond they shared. Every twirl, every step, every whispered word between them deepened their connection. The guests, inspired by their resilience, joined in, and the dance floor filled with energy, laughter, and joy. Later, as the night settled, Alara sat beside Liam, sipping champagne and watching guests mingle. She thought about the morning jitters, Margaret's manipulations, and the catastrophic wine incident. And then she realized something profound. This chaos had tested them, and they had survived together. Alara whispered, "I never imagined a wedding could be like this." Liam laughed, "Neither did I. But I've learned something. It's not about the event, it's about us. About trust, love, and choosing each other every day." Alara smiled, a tear escaping. The storm hadn't broken them. It had strengthened them. Their marriage wasn't built on perfection, it was built on partnership. The rest of the evening became a celebration of resilience. Guests danced, ate, and shared stories. Alara's friends rallied around her, helping her laugh at the absurdity of the day. Liam made sure she felt adored, constantly checking in, holding her hand, and whispering affirmations. By the end of the night, Alara understood that while weddings could be ruined by chaos or cruelty, marriages were defined by choices. Liam had chosen her over all the toxicity, over the expectations of society and family. And that, she realized, was the truest kind of love anyone could ever hope for. As they left the ballroom, tired but elated, Alara felt a quiet confidence. Their journey was just beginning, but together, she knew they could weather anything. Alara and Liam left for their honeymoon the next morning. Their destination, a secluded, tropical paradise, far from the chaos of weddings and meddling relatives. For the first time, Alara felt completely free. No judgment. No expectations. Just sun, sea, and the man who had proven his love in the most extraordinary way. They laughed over breakfast, danced barefoot on the sand, and stayed up late watching the stars. Liam whispered, "I don't care about appearances or parties. All I care about is you." Alara's heart swelled. She realized love wasn't about perfection, it was about being chosen, day after day, in real life. Back home, Margaret attempted to reach out. She sent polite, carefully worded messages and even called Liam, trying to justify her actions. Liam, however, remained firm. He reminded her that Alara was his wife and his priority. Margaret's thinly veiled apologies fell flat. Alara had already set a mental boundary. "Some people never learn," Liam said with a soft chuckle, holding Alara's hand. But she didn't feel anger, only relief and clarity. The toxicity of the past could no longer touch her because they faced it together. As weeks passed, Alara and Liam began creating their own traditions. Sunday brunches, late-night walks, and shared hobbies became their new normal. Alara introduced Liam to her world: cozy movie nights, cooking experiments, and visiting the local kindergarten where she taught. Liam shared his world too, from quiet evenings at the library to charity events, but now, everything was shared as equals. Through laughter, mistakes, and small surprises, they built a marriage grounded in partnership and understanding, not societal expectations. Alara grew in confidence. The humiliation of the wedding faded, replaced with the knowledge that she had endured and thrived. She learned to stand up for herself, not just against Margaret, but in all areas of life. Even in public, she carried herself with grace and quiet power. Her inner strength was magnetic. People noticed, admired, and respected it. Liam watched her in awe every day. He had married not just the sweet, gentle kindergarten teacher, but a woman of courage and resilience. Months after the wedding, life settled into a comfortable rhythm. The couple traveled, shared adventures, and faced challenges together. Margaret, now a distant figure, occasionally reached out, but Alara had learned the art of gentle boundaries and selective forgiveness. Just when Alara and Liam were settling into their happy life, a distant cousin of Liam's visited. He whispered things about Margaret's sacrifice for the family legacy, trying to plant doubt in Liam's mind. But Liam had changed. He calmly told his cousin, "My mother can no longer control my life, or my marriage. Alara is my wife, and she is my family now." Alara felt proud. For the first time, she realized that love gave her armor, shielding her from family drama. Alara received an unexpected promotion at the kindergarten. Her innovative teaching methods had caught national attention. She was invited to speak at conferences, meet influential educators, and even contribute to a national education program. Liam beamed with pride at her success. Their love wasn't just about romance, it was mutual respect and encouragement. Together, they celebrated every victory, big or small. Margaret wasn't done yet. She began subtle interference, sending polite but manipulative messages to Alara's colleagues, trying to tarnish her reputation. Alara noticed the tension but didn't panic. Instead, she used her kindness and professionalism to disarm every attempt. leaving Margaret's schemes ineffective and transparent. Alara's friends shared stories of her kindness and courage. Liam realized that true love wasn't just about romance, it was about community, roots, and respect for heritage. Margaret's absence was notable. The festival reminded them that happiness often comes when toxicity is left behind. One afternoon, a mysterious man arrived, claiming to have known Margaret's past secrets. He hinted that Margaret had been manipulating multiple family members for decades. Alara and Liam listened carefully. Instead of reacting with anger, they used the information to protect themselves and others, establishing clear boundaries and ensuring Margaret could no longer harm anyone emotionally. It was a reminder that love wasn't just about intimacy, it was also about vigilance and wisdom. Alara and Liam celebrated their first anniversary with a private ceremony on the same estate, but this time, without Margaret or any interference. Alara realized that true happiness grows from overcoming trials, not from avoiding them. Life wasn't without challenges. Liam faced a difficult business decision, and Alara dealt with a personal health scare. But together, they faced every trial. Alara reminded Liam to breathe, plan, and act with love. Liam reminded Alara that she wasn't alone. Their marriage grew stronger because they had learned that teamwork matters more than perfection. Alara, despite all the humiliation she endured, began to teach forgiveness, not for Margaret's benefit, but for her own peace. She wrote in her journal, "Forgiveness is not weakness. It's freedom. It's letting go of what I cannot control and cherishing what I can." A few years later, Alara and Liam welcomed their first child. Holding the baby in her arms, Alara felt an overwhelming sense of love, responsibility, and gratitude. There was no fear, no humiliation, no ice-cold mother-in-law. Only love, laughter, and gratitude. And that, dear viewers, is the story of Alara and Liam. A tale of love, resilience, and the triumph of choosing the right person over toxic influence. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell, because we have so many more incredible stories coming your way. And now I want to hear from you. What would you have done if you were in Alara's shoes? Comment below and let's talk about it. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep believing in love, keep believing in yourself, and remember, sometimes, the hardest storms bring the brightest sunshine.